Welcome back. All right, so I ranked number one draft picks, and everybody agreed with me that that list was awesome. I say that because, of course, I just finished recording it. I'm recording these before we go on vacation, so sure, in my mind, that's how it's going to go. And I'm sure today will be exactly the same. Number two draft picks again from 2007 through till 2022. I'm not sure how far I'm going to go into this. When I do the ranking of draft picks, once I get past like about pick number four, the view counts just drop way off, and people aren't necessarily nearly as interested. So I may get a little creative with it after second place. Actually, we'll see. We'll see how I end up going with this. But yeah, 1 through 16, 2007 through 2022, and understanding there's weakness and not a lot of data for recent draft picks when it comes to the ranking, but it happens. Number 16. So this one's tough because injuries played a major role here. Nolan Patrick drafted second overall. Career threatened, derailed by injuries. At this point, his career's done. Although when it came out that he was retiring, it then came out that he hasn't retired officially, and yet he's doing some training over in Europe. So he's helping other players in Europe. So I don't think Nolan Patrick's ever going to play in the NHL again. And again, just the injury bug just absolutely sidelined him. Number 15, 2012. So the 2012 draft, it's not a great one. Ryan Murray ends up going second overall. I actually liked Murray at the peak of his career. I thought he was an okay top four defenseman, but it didn't last that long. Another career that's affected by injuries, and so Ryan Murray finds himself in 15th place. So many apologies, but Murray in 15th place. I can't justify having him any higher, and because of just how few games Patrick played, I couldn't put him below Patrick either. Number 14, and this player is going to fly up this list. I think, anyways. Simon Nemec, drafted 22nd overall. 22nd overall. Drafted second overall in 2022. That's where the 22nd comes from. But New Jersey drafting second there and getting Nemec. I think he's going to be a very, very good defenseman. Again, I just have to go by what's happened thus far. I can put him ahead of Patrick and Murray at this point, but anything higher up than that, I can't justify. So, 14th for Simon Nemec. Understanding again, he will move up in future videos when I do this in other summers, but at this point, 14th, best spot I can find for him. Number 13. There's an E or an A in there I messed up, isn't there? Yeah, it's fine. By the time this goes live, maybe it'll have changed how he spells his name anyways. But 2019, the Rangers draft Kaapo Kakko second overall. And Kakko's career has had its speed bumps. I'm actually kind of hoping by the time this goes live that maybe the Rangers will have traded him off to another team and he'll have a chance to get some more minutes. But he has signed an extension with the New York Rangers, so maybe this is the year we see more from him. At this point, I think Kakko's played well enough. I can have him ahead of these three. I couldn't justify having him any higher. So for the career he's had thus far, I think Kakko gets more criticism than is deserved. But has he been a top six forward at the NHL level so far? No. So there you go. Number 12 from 2007. So again, this is as far back as it goes. James Van Riemsdyk. You know the funny thing too is, and I was thinking about it when I was writing James Van Riemsdyk up there, and I've seen people saying, I don't know why you don't just have everything written on the board. Why do you have to spend the time writing it? Because when I was in class, I never had a chance to tell the teacher, can you just have all that on the board before we get in here? And I kind of look at this as sort of like a similar environment on YouTube, even though I'm not teaching really. Maybe some of the history stuff, sure, but in general, no. James Van Riemsdyk ends up 12th on the board, and I guess I had too much time to think because the name's too long. But again, 25, 30 goal scorer in his career, plenty of times, and has been a solid top six forward throughout most of his career. And he was good in Boston this past season. Not fantastic, but he was good. And so, yeah, Van Riemsdyk, I think, has had a nice solid career. At some point in time over the next few years, I'll likely be doing a career video on him. At this point, he's number 12 on the list. Number 11, a player who I'm pretty sure has taken a jump from where they were last year. And it's just because I think Quinton Byfield, I think he had a very strong season. I think he's had a strong season and a half in LA playing on that top line, playing on the wing, and now he should get a shot at playing center. He signs that extension, and if he plays center really well this season, that extension is going to look like a bargain by, I'd say, Christmas. So Quinton Byfield ends up 11th on the list. I think last year he was like 14th or 15th. So yeah, nice big move up. Byfield's been pretty darn good for the Kings again over the last year and a half. I don't see any reason why that won't continue. Number 10 on the board from 2018. So 2018's on the board here. And that's Andrei Svechnikov. I always feel like, and I know, I say this every time, I always feel like he could be a 40 goal scorer. He's got that level of talent. That being said, he's also a pretty good passer. He's a good points producer. Staying healthy's been an issue, and staying out of the box has been an issue for Svechnikov too. He does play a chippy game. It's not a dirty game. It's not like he's out there trying to hurt guys, but he does, high sticks, slashes, hooks. Those things they're in his game. I think he's just very competitive. I think you're always going to get those penalties from him, but maybe there are players who have come into the league that have taken penalties like that early, and then they learn as they become veterans how to avoid it. Maybe we see that with Svechnikov as well. I hope so, because Svechnikov, I think, is a very talented forward. Number 9 on the board from 2016, and this one's kind of tough to rank, because let's be honest, Patrik Laine has been so close at times to living up to the hype. Has been a very good goal scorer at times. And then it's just not sustained. So just the goal scoring and what he's been able to do, I feel like 9th is the right spot for him. But if you want to argue him as low as 11th or 12th, I can't dispute any points you're going to make. Because again, I'm probably going to be in Disneyland while you're watching this. But I'm definitely going to be in Disneyland while you're watching this. Patrik Laine in 2016, though, there was that debate about him versus Matthews. I really think the debate was created by the media. I don't think there was ever a chance Laine was going first overall. I don't think Toronto even considered it. That was considered to be the Austin Matthews draft. Media just likes to, make sure that we're watching and paying attention, because you don't want it to just be a fait accompli. One guy's going to be number 1 overall. You want to muddy the waters a bit, and it felt like that's what happened with Laine. Especially that interview would look like he was in space. Anyways, if you saw the interview before his draft, you know what I'm talking about. If not, but he was almost strange enough to be a goaltender at that point. Number 8. So number 8 on the board. Don't worry, I'm going to defend it. Matty Beniers. Matty Beniers won the Calder Trophy in 2023. He did not have a very good 2023-2024 season by comparison. Beniers still projects to be an excellent two-way forward, and it will be interesting to see what Seattle gives him and how much Seattle feels that he is worth. Matty Beniers is a fantastic forward with a very bright future, and I think that Seattle's in pretty good hands if he does become captain over the next few years here. And I think he will, and I think he's a forward you can build around. Shane Wright's going to be a very good forward for them too, but that two-way forward, reminiscent of somebody else that's higher up on the board here. I'm not saying he will be at that level, but reminiscent of. Beniers ends up at 8th. At number 7, 2010 shows up at this point. I'm going to put his last name. Look at that. I end up using my finger for erasing because, I've got board erasers. I've got all kinds of board erasers. It's just easier. Like me explaining it for 25 seconds. That just makes it easier. And what a time saver that is to spend all that time explaining. Tyler Seguin in 2010. The number 2 draft pick. The Tailored versus Tyler debate that was out there in 2010. And it turns out both of them have had very good, serviceable careers. He's been good in Dallas. Does he live up to the contract he's currently being paid? No, but it's fine. Sagan is a very good forward, very, very strong career. And all that's missing now is a Stanley Cup. He's got to get that Stanley Cup in Dallas. Did he get the cup ring in 2011? I mean, did he? At any rate, Sagan, I hope he gets one in Dallas. I mean, and then trade him to Vancouver and have him get a Stanley Cup ring in Vancouver. That'd be like the ultimate. He'd have to be one of my all-time favorite players if he did that. Number 6. So now that I got to get back to reality, number 6 is a player who absolutely could have been longer, or could have been higher up, if not for the fact that he's been on the injured reserve list, long-term injured reserve list for as long as he has. Landeskog hasn't played since Colorado won the Stanley Cup in 2022. I really hope he comes back and plays this fall. He was drafted second overall in 2011, and he's a fantastic forward. Let me take a look here at number 5. Yeah, I couldn't justify having him ahead of number 5 just based on where we're at right now. If Landeskog had played the last 2 seasons, odds are he's above number 5. But again, hopefully Landeskog's back this year and he's healthy. But it just feels like it's really up in the air right now. So next on the list is from 2014. I remember 2014 being a fascinating year because there were a lot of potential number 1 draft picks. I remember basically the top 5 being seen as, look at that, I gave him a brand new last name. No, we're gonna make that right. Reinhart. Although if you want to call him Reinhard from now on, go for it. It's the off season, so I'm not starting over. Reinhart 2014. That's the kind of thing I would normally start a video over for. Absolutely, yep, absolutely. But Sam Reinhart, drafted in 2014, has become a 50 goal scorer. I don't know if he gets back to that this coming year for Florida, but he's a 50 goal scorer, just won a Stanley Cup of his own, and so yeah, to me he's top 5 right now. And I mean, I don't know that Buffalo regrets moving him, but there are some players who've left Buffalo and enjoyed success elsewhere. And it does not make it easier for fans of that team that traded that player. It doesn't. I say that as a Canuck fan. Nothing more frustrating than watching a guy leave the team, maybe a veteran. You know, Reinhart, not a veteran, but is a good young player. And then seeing them win somewhere else and being like, man, why wasn't that with the team I root for? In my case, it's because teams I root for are cursed. What's your reasoning? Well, it's Buffalo, so yeah, there's definitely a curse there. Number 4 from 2013, sorry. They didn't have 2 number 2 picks in 2014, but from 2013, Alexander Barkov or Sasha Barkov, either works. Barkov is a monster. He's a two-way force, and notice that these are 2 Florida players back to back. Barkov has emerged from being underrated. No, he's not. He's not. You can make all the arguments you want about how he's underrated. I've got him number 4 ahead of Reinhart, Sagan, Beniers, Line. Like I've got him ahead of a lot of good draft picks, including Landeskog. And yeah, he's not underrated now. Was he underrated 4 or 5 years ago? Yes. But when everybody says a player's underrated, that means we all know how good he is. It's just we don't hear as much about him. It doesn't mean he's underrated. Just we don't hear as much about him because he plays in Florida. You're never going to get as much press attention in Florida as you will in New York or Montreal or Toronto. It's not going to happen. So Barkov at this point in time, the best two-way forward with the retirement of Bergeron, and he's going to look to keep that up this season. I don't see any reason why he can't win the Selke again, especially in the event that he can stay healthy for a full season and Florida has a good one. Number 3. Back to 2008 for this one. Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty drafted by the LA Kings and a huge part of their cup wins in 2012 and 2014. Also has won a Norris Trophy. And yeah, Doughty's had a really strong last couple of years as well. I've talked about that a bit here and there in videos. But yeah, I think Doughty's had an excellent season. And so, like this year, I think he had an excellent season overall, and he's still one of the best defensemen in the game. He's not at the level he was 10 years ago, but who is? I'm not. So, yeah, Drew Doughty ends up 3rd on the list. Number 2. Going back to 2015. 2015 draft is ridiculous. It really is. And Jack Eichel was drafted second. He was, of course, drafted by Buffalo, goes to Vegas and wins the Stanley Cup. I'm just going to pause because I did not intend to keep throwing Buffalo's name out there, but it's there. Eichel, it was very, very public. He wanted to get surgery that the Buffalo Sabres felt was too risky, and they weren't going to okay that surgery, so Vegas does. And he's been excellent for Vegas. Stanley Cup win and all that. Eichel is still capable of taking over a game. The difference between in Buffalo and in Vegas, he doesn't really have to in Vegas. He's playing on a pretty good team. In Buffalo, it felt like he had to for long stretches there because he might have been on his own on the ice. So he would go beast mode and try to go through everybody. Sometimes it worked in Buffalo. In Vegas, he doesn't have to play that game. And I think he's coached not to play that style of game because generally, if a player's trying to skate through five guys and they're not named McDavid, it's probably not going to work out very well for them. But Eichel has at times been able to make it work too. So he ends up number 2 on the list. He ends up being the runner-up. Number 1 on the list, and I really didn't have to think about this one. This one to me was obvious, and he's just signed an extension. I wouldn't be surprised if when this video goes live, he's been named as the captain for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that's Victor Hedman. Hedman's been absolutely fantastic for Tampa Bay. He had a rough start, too. The funny thing is, I remember it was like about halfway through season number 2 that he signed that long-term extension with Tampa, this huge extension with Tampa. And I remember saying out loud, I don't know if Hedman's done enough. He's not having a great season. I'm not sure what Tampa's thinking here. Boy, did that age poorly. I'm ever glad I didn't have a channel at that stage. Because, yeah, I was 100% wrong. Hedman became, I still think, the best defenseman for like about a 10-year period. He was in the argument for that. But he's only got one Norris win. What's up with that? Like, one. I am so shocked that Hedman's only got one Norris trophy. And at this point in time, with him being in his mid-30s, that's probably the only Norris he's going to win. But he's still a first ballot Hall of Famer. We could do this too. Hall of Famers, Hedman, yes. Eichel, probably. Doughty, absolutely. Barkov, yes. Reinhart, we're not there yet. Landeskog, we're not there yet either. And when I look down the rest of the board, there are some potentials, and then there are some probably nots. I would say Sagan's in that probably not category. Line right now is in the probably not category. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And look at it this way. With the videos going up, and I know people talk about the audio fixes itself shortly after a video goes live. So for the week that I'm off, the pre-recorded videos, you will not see an audio problem with. So there you go. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys again. I'll talk to you soon enough.